Hey there, winos. We are so grateful you chose to join us for another episode. And to our new listeners, welcome. You won't regret joining us, at least not right away.
Eventually, maybe.
No promises.
We might make you cry. There's so much work to do.
I know, right? Right, yes. But in this episode, we're so excited you joined us because we are talking about No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Woo! Oh, so good, Jules. Alice would be proud.
Yes, I do my best. So we are going to be discussing why being nice is sometimes the very worst thing that you can do for both you and your employees and also your company. But first, the wine. So Trish, what you drinking?
I am drinking a Pinot Noir. Shocker.
Shocker.
It's winter. What can I say? This one is St. Hubert's The Stag. Yeah. I couldn't remember if I had this one before, but I don't believe I have. And of course, shocker of all shocks, it got me with things like wild berry, vanilla, chocolate, spicy oak. So yeah, the very first sip and I am already in love. So I think I'm going to be recommending this one highly by the end of the episode. What about you, Jules?
I am drinking, I'm still in the white wine. I'm slowly moving over to the reds, but it's also like almost 50 degrees here today. So that made me feel like spring. So, the weather can't make up its mind and neither can I. So there you go. But you will not be surprised by this either. I am drinking a white wine from Italy, Sicily. Yeah. What? Oh. So unusual. But it is a new wine. So this is a Grillo, and it's from Sicilia. So yay. And it is a dry white wine. Now I had to take a picture of the description with my phone because I don't have my glasses and I'm almost 52 and blind as a bat. So here we go. It is obtained from 100% Grillo grapes and aged in acacia barrels for 4 months, which is very interesting. But that explains some of the flavor because you can definitely get that like earthy taste from it.
Oh, nice.
So then, let's see, what else do we have? We have elegant vanilla flavored aroma with fresh fragrance of white peach. Yes, it's on a curve, so I can't read that word. White peach. Citrus. Oh, I know. See, you can see why I like it. It's got all my favorite things as well.
Definitely.
Citrus. Fruit and a pleasant roundness without altering the fragrance of this vineyard. So, as I mentioned, you can definitely taste like the earthiness of the acacia barrels, which I didn't even know there was such a thing. So I learned something new today. This is also a very smooth, very nice kind of middle of the road wine for that would pair well with pretty much anything. Cheeses definitely, especially if they're a little bit stronger because it is a more mild flavor. So anyway, first sips, I really like it. I don't know that it's like my favorite wine I've ever had, but I do really like it. So we'll see what happens by the end of the episode.
Hey, Julie. Do you know what time it is?
I think it's stat time.
Stat time. Yes, it is. All right. I am going to share a stat with y'all, and then I'm going to put some context around it. So here's the sentence. Our survey uncovered a disturbing statistic. 37% of respondents felt their organization suffered from the malady of terminal niceness.
I love that phrase.
Right? Valuating politeness over the pursuit of the best ideas and perspectives. So, this actually came from a Forbes article. And in this article, the author, Haley Bach, is talking about the benefits of being honest and then offers a bunch of good tools for us for being honest, especially when it comes to giving corrective feedback. And so she is the one then who cites this particular sentence, and it just freaks me out. I can't even say it better than that, Jules. It just freaks me out. And then here's another one. If that one doesn't resonate with you, how about ruinous empathy?
Right? We all think empathy is so good. So how could it be ruinous? But tell us.
But so this comes from everyone will be shocked by this as well, right? We love Kim Scott. We talk about her often, her book Radical Candor and her rock star superstar theory. And so this comes from their blog by the same name, Radical Candor. And when they're talking about it, they're saying ruinous empathy happens when people want to avoid the tension or discomfort that can occur when delivering feedback that might make someone feel mad or sad or even bad in the short term, but would ultimately help them succeed in the long run. So basically, to avoid any conflict and avoid addressing those areas that need improvement, they think they're being nice, and instead they are just ruining opportunities for this person and maybe even for the team.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept. We all think, but being nice is a good thing. And it is, like in a human, it's great. But even as humans, we have to set boundaries and we have to have certain parameters, even with our friends or our family or loved ones. And so it's kind of just taking that same concept and applying it to the workplace. So that's what we're talking about today is how do you deal with this sort of culture of terminal niceness or rudeness, empathy. And we're going to, of course, have some tips for you on that. But I also was struck by something from Simon Sinek, his blog. And most of you have probably heard of him. He's been around for a long time. He does a lot of great TED Talks and he does a lot of other I'm trying to think of his book and I'm failing, but he had like the one book that catapulted him to, fame, but he talks a lot about managers, management, leadership, all of those kinds of things. I think it's about storytelling, but I can't quite think of the title. Trisha's going to find it for me. But anyway, he had a recent article that was really great. And I wanted to share this part of it because I think this encapsulates what we're talking about, what we want to focus on today. But I think Trisha may have found the title.
Start with why?
Oh, yeah, that's a great
Or
one.
Find Your Why?
Yeah.
All of our favorite things.
Yes.
The Infinite Game.
Yeah. There's one about storytelling too. But anyway, that's okay. We'll put them all in the show notes. So here is what he said in the article. You care about your team. You want to be a good leader, approachable, supportive, human. So you're nice. You say yes to requests. You avoid hard conversations. You give people grace when they miss deadlines. You create a comfortable environment. And your team is failing. Deadlines are missed. Quality drops. Standards erode. Nobody seems to care anymore. And you're left wondering, how did trying to be a good leader create such a mess? Here's the truth. Nice and kind are not the same thing. This is something that Trish and I have talked about. One keeps people comfortable. The other helps them grow. One avoids discomfort. The other leans into it. And confusing the two can derail your effectiveness as a leader and potentially your entire team's performance. I thought that was just such a great way to put it. And I know we have said the same thing in different words. And I know we preach this all the time, but if an employee is falling short and you, as their manager, are not telling them how they are falling short or what they need to do to fix it and to meet expectations, then you're doing them a disservice because you're never even giving them the opportunity to fix it. You're also doing yourself a disservice, which is the one thing I don't think the articles talk about enough. But you're holding on to all of that, all the stress, all the anxiety. Yeah, you're avoiding an uncomfortable conversation, but the problem is just multiplying. And it's just festering, and it's not going to magically fix itself. So you're not just hurting your employee, you're also hurting yourself. Um, and then that multiplies, and then you end up hurting your team as well.
I think the part that really grabbed me out of all of this is that we're not just talking about the impact on a single person.
Mm-hmm.
All of the articles that we looked at, every single one of them go to, it also is going to impact your team ultimately. And I thought that that was a really important point.
I agree. And, it also reminds me and I'm just going to say this now, we could probably talk about it more later before we get to some of the outcomes of what happens, but it also reminded me of how we talk about when a company doesn't want to get rid of someone because even though that person is toxic, they are good at what they do, or they're a great salesperson, or they bring in a lot of money, or they do whatever. That's also part of this culture of terminal niceness because people don't want to deal with the problem, so they're just avoiding it. So they just continue to avoid it and take the nice route versus doing the kind thing for the organization or the team, which would be to get rid of that toxic personality.
And usually what we find with that is that it'll bite the company in the butt because that person will end up using that kind of speech or those actions, or maybe even just the fact that they haven't learned how to do their job properly, then it impacts your customers or something like that. And then that's when all of a sudden it's like, oh, now we have to get rid of them.
Right.
Yeah. We've been saying that.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So we want to talk about some of the other unfortunate outcomes that can result from a culture of terminal niceness or ruinous empathy. So we're going to go through several of these. And again, as always, we will put links to the articles that we are referencing in the show notes. These are from the Forbes article that we got the stat from as well. So, Trisha, why don't you pick your first one that you would like to discuss?
Well, I keep thinking about our conversations on implicit bias and groupthink. And so, I have to go to bad ideas get implemented because no one pushes back. So how they put it is that in nice cultures, everyone thinks they have to be supportive by not disagreeing with each other. So when someone has an idea that won't work or that can't be implemented, no one says anything. And then, of course, this ends up being a total waste of time. So there's two things that surround that, but I think the most important and related to our conversation today is that I understand not wanting to be rude and not wanting to say to someone that isn't going to work. And I get it, but you have to. There are ways to say it. Again, I'm going to use our word empathy, right? There's ways to say these things with kindness, but not saying it. Is that a double negative? That's bad.
Yeah, it's all good.
But like not saying anything is going to be the worst thing that you could do. But saying something with kindness, with respect, with civility, with professionalism, using all of the tools that you have learned here over the years, say something, because if you don't push back, you are going to find out that it ends up being a waste of time or money, resources. So you definitely want to just stand up and use your stats. That's one of my favorite things. Like, point to the stats and say, I'm so glad you're thinking about this and you're trying to think outside the box. However, here's the reason that isn't going to work. But keep thinking. I encourage you. Like, that's okay. You're being nice and what is the word up? Now I almost said naughty. Nice and helpful.
A little different there. Just a little. Just a little. We're going to blame that one on the wine.
Yeah. Couple of sips, but yeah.
Yeah. The wine's a great excuse. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay. I'm going to share one of the more obvious ones, but when we have this culture of terminal niceness or rudeness empathy, employees don't get the feedback they need to grow and improve. So it was like what I was just talking about. And the other analogy I've used for all our sports fans out there is like, if you don't share with an employee what they need to get to the next level. And we're not just talking about employees who aren't performing up to the expectations they need to be. We're talking about those people that you want to be the next leaders that are performing really well, but aren't quite at where they need to be to get to the next level. We're talking about those people as well. And if you are holding all of that information and not sharing it with those employees, then you are continuing to hold the ball. And they don't even know there's a problem. Like, they don't even know they should be getting ready for you to pass the ball to them. They're just standing there like, are we still in a timeout? Like, what, what's going on? Is the game over? Are we going for beers? Like, I don't really understand what's happening right now. So, but you're left holding the ball. And after a while, it gets kind of heavy and kind of obnoxious, right? But if you tell them, again, as Trisha said, with professionalism and empathy and honesty and all those good things, then you give the ball to them and it's in their court. And they are either going to learn the plays and they're going to execute them and they're going to get to the next level where they need to be, or they're going to foul out and they are going to show themselves the door. So, but it's their call at that point. It's up to them. It's no longer your responsibility. And I think a lot of times that's why part of why managers often hold on so long before having the conversations. I mean, other than they don't want to have them because it's uncomfortable for them and it's uncomfortable for the employee, but also because they feel a lot of responsibility to their employees. But where they're missing the mark is that they're not holding the employees responsible for also being accountable for their own growth and progression as well.
Self-accountability.
Oh.
Yeah, just gonna leave that there for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the third one. Lack of healthy debate makes it difficult to build new processes and products. Here's the thing. Julie and I just got back from Chicago, and while we were in Chicago, I did this little exercise with people, and it basically I said to people, pineapple on pizza, yes or no, defend.
It was great. This is a great exercise, people. Note this one.
Yeah. And truly it is, because people have really strong ideas about whether pineapple belongs on pizza or not. And if it does belong, it has to be in a certain context. It like has to accompany ham. And then some people are like, not without jalapenos. But like, having people defend their why on that is so fun. First of all, it's just fun listening to people. But second of all, you are learning how to engage in a debate with your coworkers. And this is something that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Since, you may never eat pizza or pineapple together. And so it doesn't really matter from that perspective. The whole point is, once your employees start to engage in these conversations, they're not going to be as concerned with being polite and not hurting each other's feelings as they are about figuring out how to do things differently. Because if they have already had these conversations, they know more of how the other person thinks. Communication is a little easier, and then innovation is possible, as they say in the article, which I love.
Yeah, because you really wouldn't think about that, but it's true. If and I did. When you first brought up the pineapple on pizza, I thought it was just for fun. But then, like as you explained it, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is brilliant, Trisha." Which you are brilliant. So if people haven't figured that out yet, here's your
Aw,
affirmation. But
thanks.
but it was because you're right. It is a topic that is not emotionally charged. So people can, like, even if you said to somebody, like, you're crazy for not, or for liking pineapple on pizza,
That's
the other,
disgusting.
right. Yeah. The other person is going to be like, whatever, like
Right.
they're not going to feel wounded to their very core over that. So it
Right.
does, it teaches people how to have a disagreement, and then you're not as afraid to have a disagreement later because you can, like, you've done it already. It's muscle memory. It's what we've talked about with other things like
Yes,
planning
exactly.
for an emergency, or having those difficult conversations. As we'll talk about later, you role play them, and then it becomes more natural. So I think that's a great idea. That's an exercise everybody could use, and it also inserts some fun, which Lord knows we could all use more of.
Truth.
So I am going to talk next about the one that I have seen a lot of lately, and I'm sure our listeners have as well. But when you have this culture of terminal niceness, and you are not having the conversations that need to be had, which again don't always mean they're about performance or telling somebody they're doing a bad job. Sometimes they are important conversations about a particular project that maybe isn't going as well as you anticipated. Maybe it's behind budget. Maybe it's there was just some unexpected finding that's going to delay the project a lot longer. Whatever the case may be, we need to be having those real conversations at work. And when we're not, people are going to have them outside of work. And we all know in today's world where that shows up. It's on social media. You get a disgruntled employee who starts posting all sorts of bad things about you, the company, all of their coworkers, whatever the case may be. Maybe they also include some claims of a hostile work environment or unsafe working conditions or other things that could lead to legal liability. But the fact of the matter is, if you're not talking about it in-house, people are talking about it outside. I was going to say outhouse, but
I
I
knew
stopped
you were. I
myself.
was waiting.
But it is kind of like it all turns to shit. So the outhouse thing is fitting. So whatevs. But which apparently seems to be our theme this season, since our first episode was, same shit, different shit, it's all shit. And now we're talking about outhouses and whatever. So it's all good.
Way
We're
to
just,
tie it together, Jules.
I know, right? Right? The basic gist is 2026 is going down the toilet already. So there we are. But the other thing that it does is it creates a culture of gossip, secrecy, because people feel like they can't talk about it out loud. They talk about it, you know, quietly to each other, and also cliquishness. So then they're like forming teams because they're like, who's on board with us? Like, who's on our side? Who's on our side? And then it just becomes this big divide, and it makes it nearly impossible to have a trusting and truly supportive environment. So that is incredibly destructive, and things that is something that we want to avoid.
Well, and I love how the article goes right into this next one, and it's perfect for what we were just saying too. Senior execs are seen as weak and not trusted. What if all of this stuff is going on, people are having conversations, or maybe something completely bad happened because of a client or to a client, because you didn't have the conversations you were supposed to have, or maybe the client saw these conversations offline or online, like Julie is talking about, and your execs don't do anything about it. They think that they are being politically correct, or thinking that, oh, well, maybe that's just a little too low level for us. We'll let our managers deal with that. Okay, there's a time and place for managers to deal with things, and I want managers to be involved. But honestly, if our senior leaders are not taking a stab at this kind of stuff, if they can't stand up and be honest about what's going on, what in the world do we expect our employees to do? Right? I mean, they always say, going back to your comments, Jules, it flows downhill.
I truly love that you cannot swear. And I, on the other hand, am over here like, bleep, 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 bleep. Yeah.
I don't, my mama, you can blame her.
I know. It's adorable. It's adorable. Okay, so for time's sake, I am going to run through the rest of the outcomes that the Forbes article lists kind of quickly because they all make sense and I don't think they need a ton of explanation. And we want to make sure we get to our tips for how you can avoid some of these outcomes. So, one of the big ones is accountability. If you have a culture of niceness where you're not telling people what they need to know, then they aren't required to own their own mistakes and they don't develop any responsibility. And that includes you, managers. Just, keep that in mind. Also, as we talked about with the social media aspect, issues build up and it poisons relationships because when people know they aren't being told the truth, that is toxic. We've all been there, whether it's a personal relationship or a bad relationship at work. We know how that feels. And finally, again, looking at it big picture, business destroying problems don't get resolved. So this is a really big one. But if the highest value in a culture is to be nice, then no one stands up and says, this is a huge issue. And if we don't fix it, we're going to be in trouble. They just let things happen because they're afraid to identify the problem and challenge people's thinking on it. That can lead to business killing problems if it's not resolved. So with all of that in mind, we do have a few tips for what you can do to avoid these things. So, Trish, you want to take one of our tips or two?
Sure, I would love to. I think all of these, please remember what we're talking about is you are being honest, but you're not being an a-hole.
Yeah.
All right? That's the bottom line. You're being honest, but you're doing it with kindness, professionalism, sincerity. So
don't be a dick.
Julie's favorite saying. It's even on a placard.
Yeah, yes, and it literally fits in every single episode. So there you go.
It truly does. So I'm going to start with role play. I know Julie mentioned this one earlier, but I think it's incredibly, incredibly important. I always love to say to people, whether you were an athlete or a mathlete, you had to do some sort of practicing, and it is that muscle memory, that brain memory. We want to practice having these conversations so that when we get into a situation where they are uncomfortable and we do have to have them, we have a little bit of practice and we can rely on our past, again, role play to be able to pull out the words that we need. Find a trusted friend. You can even use AI for this. But remember, if you start to feel silly, think about it. We do these kind of role plays in the business world. We do them. Our children have to do them. The most important thing is that we are prepared. And so this is no different than any of those other situations. So get over it and have fun with it.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm going to combine two of ours. So focus on the message you need or want to convey, and also focus on how the conversation can help the person you are having it with. So these go hand in hand. So we again, when we're thinking about being nice or being kind, you're trying to be helpful. So you want to focus on how is this going to help the person that I'm having the conversation with? Either it's going to help them meet some professional goals, it's going to help them stay employed, which is probably a goal for them, or it's going to help them get to the next level of leadership if that's what they want. So you want to focus on that. And then you also want to focus on the message that you want to convey. So oftentimes when you can isolate the message, which is, hey, you're not doing enough of this, so we need you to do X, Y, and Z. That narrows it down, and you can figure out like, okay, so I need to explain to them the impact, and then I can explain to them how they can change what they're doing to get a better impact. And so if you focus on, again, both the message that you want to convey and how that is going to be helpful to that person, then that can often help you frame the conversation in a way that doesn't feel as uncomfortable to have or as difficult to have, because you're not just being a meanie, you're doing it for a reason.
I love that, Jules. Plus, if you know what your employees' goals are, you can then relate that conversation to their goals, right? So it's tying everything together. Ultimately, y'all, here's what we're talking about. Practice kindness over niceness. When you find yourself avoiding a conversation because you are afraid of how it's going to make the other person feel, no, let's be honest. It's really about how it's going to make you feel. So take a moment, think about it. What is kind versus what is nice? If you really care about your employee and you want to continue to help them improve, if you really care about yourself and don't want to have to deal with this issue over and over again, you'll choose the path that is honest and constructive. And if all else fails, just think of Julie and I sitting here right behind you, and we're cheering you on, and that'll make you laugh and it'll make it easier to get through.
Yeah, and if you really can't find anybody to role play with, just reach out. We'll be happy to do it with you.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
Right? Wouldn't it? Okay, great. So again, we understand the inclination to be nice, and we appreciate that. We appreciate that about all of our listeners. But again, if you think about the difference between being nice and being kind, I think that's such a great way to think about it. And the kind thing to do is to have those difficult conversations, to have those uncomfortable moments, to have those disagreements, because all of those things are going to move you forward, where being nice just keeps you stuck in place.
Hear, hear. Mic drop.
Mic drop. All right, Trish, how is your wine? Are you still loving it?
It's delicious. Yes.
Nice.
I know I should be giving more information than that, but honestly, it's just lovely. And it's warming me up. It's not that cold here. We're above freezing for a change, but that's not going to last for long. So
Right. Yeah. I am still enjoying mine. But again, I don't think it's my favorite I've ever had, but it's very lovely, and I certainly wouldn't say no to a glass if somebody offered one to me. So there you go.
Fair enough.
All right. So we hope that this episode has been thought-provoking, and that you guys maybe are changing how you feel about avoiding those conversations just for the sake of being nice and not hurting someone's feelings. So again, we're going to leave you with no more Mr. Nice Guy. Yeah. All right. Thank you again. We shall see you soon. Cheers.
Cheers.